Okay, well, there's never a better time than any, so let's go ahead and start. So hello and welcome everyone to Make Giving Tuesday Count. We're happy to have you joining us and appreciate you taking time from your busy schedules from all over the globe. My name is Kimberly. I'm part of the QGive team. And if you haven't yet had the opportunity to work with us before, we're an online fundraising platform dedicated to helping nonprofits raise more money. And part of how we do that is through webinars like this one. So today's webinar will be about 45 minutes with a Q&A session to follow. That's about 15 minutes or so. So keeping our time together just about an hour. We will be recording today's presentation and sending everyone a follow-up email with a link to that recording and also a copy of the presentation. That email will be going out tomorrow, so please look for that in your email box. There'll be some other great resources included in it as well. We are live tweeting today's webinar highlights. So if any of you guys are Twitter users, our username is QGive, and you can find us at #QGiveWebinar. If at all throughout the presentation you do have questions, please go ahead and put them in the questions, the Q&A portion, and our presenters will work with us at the end to field all those questions, as many as we can. And then after today's webinar, you should be getting a prompt for a quick survey. So if you can please take that, and your feedback is very crucial in how we determine content and webinars and other resources that we offer throughout the year. So before diving into today's presentation, let's just take a quick peek at the QGive background, mission, offerings. QGive has been helping nonprofits grow their online fundraising programs since 2007. And as the importance of online giving has grown, our mission has remained the same, and that's to help others fulfill their passion to make a difference. And we do that through a comprehensive suite of fundraising tools featuring donation forms, event registrations, peer-to-peer fundraising, text giving, with outbound messaging, auction events, the whole gamut. And we do value our relationships and are proud to connect our nonprofit friends with our partner network in hopes that we can help increase your nonprofit's effectiveness. And so today we are excited to introduce you to one of those partners, BrightBridge Nonprofit Solutions, who help emerging nonprofits start their dream of launching their nonprofit through consulting and administrative services. So we are joined by the two ladies who I think just waved to you if you didn't see them. We've got Andrea Ortega, the Director of Nonprofit Services, and Caitlin Cawthorn, Development Coordinator. And you're going to hear they bring a lot of wealth of knowledge in nonprofit development. And without further ado, ladies, we'd love to hear from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kim. So we're super excited to be here and make #Giving Tuesday count with our partnership with QGive. The following webinar will prepare nonprofit leaders and staff to know everything that they need to know about Giving Tuesday and hopefully get you on the right track to prepare for that date.
Yeah, and so that date is Tuesday, November 30th, 2021. And charities, families, businesses, community centers, and students from all around the world, they're going to come together for one common purpose, and that is to celebrate and encourage giving. So we want to ensure that you're prepared to take on this opportunity to share your nonprofit story and successfully navigate this worldwide giving event.
So just to give you a little bit more background on us, I am, like Kim said, the Director of Nonprofit Services for BrightBridge, and that's just really a fancy title to oversee all of the different ways that we help nonprofits. So we start about 3,000 nonprofits every year with all of their compliance and legal paperwork. I have a background, which I'm really excited that I did this with Caitlin, from a smaller nonprofit, but with a very successful Giving Tuesday. She comes from a much bigger nonprofit that she's worked for. So we kind of are going to be able to give you a little bit of both and how that's successful for Giving Tuesday. But yeah, I'm just super excited to be here.
Yeah, and I'm really excited as well. Like Kim said, I'm Caitlin Cawthon. I graduated from UCF with a bachelor's in history, but a minor in nonprofit management. And I have been fundraising for about 10 years now. I started as an intern, worked up to assistant director of development. So I've been in the fundraising trenches. I know what it's like to work in a small shop of 2 people, in a big shop of 5 to 6 development staff. So I kind of have that range of experience, and I'm really excited to chat with you all about Giving Tuesday today.
Yeah. So what exactly is Giving Tuesday? It happens after the 2 largest shopping days of the year, right? Black Friday and Small Business Saturday. It's a way to bring charitable giving into a season filled with consumerism. Hashtag Giving Tuesday is a national day now. Since its conception, it's been very simple. Find your family, your friends, your community, and have them engaged with you through social media about the different causes that you really care about. So Giving Tuesday, I think for small organizations, it's a great way to sort of get that momentum started, not just financially, but those followers, and get that brand out there. And we'll talk a little bit about that. And that's what that is. So about Giving Tuesday, it is for any charity that is registered as a nonprofit or a 501c3. It could also be a for-profit business that usually partners with a nonprofit where the money is going. It could be a school, religious, or community group that's committed to spearheading some sort of project. So many times that everyone, if it's a for-profit, they will partner with the 501c3 or some type of community project. And we'll talk about why those partnerships are super important. And once you have that and you know what that is, you can actually register with Giving Tuesday. That it started out as a movement, but it really is an organization all in itself. And they find ways to help make this day successful. And we'll talk about how also that plays into matching donations. Last year, Giving Tuesday saw a significant increase in donation, growing from 177 million in online donations in 2016 to $2.47 billion in 2020. That's a 29% increase from 2019 alone. And when we think of 2020, we think of the pandemic, but actually it was one of the biggest giving years, I think in a lot of the individual donation aspects. Obviously, the whole sector has suffered a little bit from the pandemic.
Yeah, and so where does Giving Tuesday take place? And that is social media. So really, Giving Tuesday takes place online. Social media is that key to making sure that your Giving Tuesday message has impact and has reach. It's also the best way to celebrate giving and to share your organization's story, mission, and values. And Andrea is going to talk a little bit about storytelling in a bit. But when you're on social media, you want to remember to use the actual Giving Tuesday hashtag to make sure your organization is found, you're in the conversation, and that is hashtag Giving Tuesday. So it's easy to remember. And this is where you're going to want to start sharing your organization's story. So you bring your followers and networks into the conversation, and they can learn about that good work that you're doing in the community and accomplishing your mission. So we do want to refer you to the actual Giving Tuesday social media toolkit. It's on givingtuesday.org. And they're going to have a lot of really good tips and ideas specifically for social media. So the toolkit can be found at givingtuesday.org/resources. And the toolkits are for both nonprofits as well as individuals and companies that want to be involved. And as well as the toolkit, there are Canva templates that can be customized to your brand and used to create customized marketing tools. So if you don't have Canva, we highly recommend you get an account. It's either free or really cost effective for nonprofits. We actually created this PowerPoint in Canva. So if you're not using that as a resource, we highly recommend it. It's really great graphic design tools for nonprofit organizations.
Yeah, I love Canva. I'm obsessed with it.
Great.
It's a graphic designer for dummies. and it doesn't replace the amazing work that graphic designers do, but if you're getting started, it's with all these, especially with this toolkit, it's going to be super important for you to get a high resolution logo of the Giving Tuesday and using it for your branding for this specific campaign. And when it is, so we talked about, it's on November 30th, right? We will really come together for that philanthropic giving. This year's actually comes straight from the giving, the toolkit that Giving Tuesday has put up on Canva. And they have a bunch of different styles for you to choose for your organization. And it's just really, you've spent waking up early on Black Friday, trying to get those deals, and then, supporting small business, which we know has been recently impacted. And then just a really nice counterbalance to choose something that you're passionate about, or that someone you know is passionate about, and helping them reach those, we'll talk about those end year goals in development, right? They're a month away from closing the year in accounting, so we can help them reach their goals or get them started for 2022.
Yeah, and so the giving season really is kicked off right around Giving Tuesday. And I know in the nonprofits I've worked for, especially the larger one, we actually received about 20% of our revenue in like the last 2 weeks of the year. So Giving Tuesday is actually a really good way to start pushing for those donations early, and you can start getting those in so you're not scrambling at the last minute. So this is a really good way to really kick off that giving season.
Yep.
So what do you need for success? The first thing you need is a goal. So you want to know how much you want or need to raise, what you're asking for, and why you're asking for it. Why is it important to you, your mission, and your supporters? So we really recommend using the SMART goal setting method. So this is a great mnemonic device to remember all the elements your goal should have. So it should be specific. You need to have a firm number in mind. And you really want to drill down on your call to action and know what you want people to give towards, or how you want them to be involved. It should be measurable. Your goal should have a numerical value attached. This is easy when you are looking for general operating financial support, but if you're focusing on a project or program, don't just ask for student scholarships, ask for 10 student scholarships. So you know exactly how much you're trying to raise. And if you need people to volunteer, consider how many new volunteers you want to engage, or how many volunteer hours you want to have on that day. And then your goal also has to be attainable. Is it realistic? Can it be achieved in the lead up to Giving Tuesday and by the end of that day? So if you've never raised $100,000 before in one day, it might not be a good goal to set. So you want to look at your past giving, and you want to look at your online community and your network and put some thought into what's really going to be achievable for you. And then it should also be relevant. So make sure your goal is mission related. You don't want your goal to seemingly come out of left field for your contributors and your supporters. So you don't want to be contributing to what we call mission drift. And then time bound. So this one's easy. Giving Tuesday is on a very specific day. It's on November 30th. So your goal should be time bound to be completed by that day. So we kind of helped you with that one piece of the goal. And there will be follow-up that you need to do after the event, but really the main push should be to be completed by that day.
Yeah, and I just want to piggyback because I love this slide. When we were putting together this presentation for you guys, and I told you I come from more of that founder, very small, build your way up to $100,000. And this can be applied for something small, right? I think our first Giving Tuesday, we aimed for 1,000. We cleared that by half of the day. And we were actually able to get 2,000. And we were very specific. $2,000 covers enough scholarships for one semester for 2 scholars in Colombia, because things are a little bit cheaper over there. But it wasn't a lot, but it was a lot to us. So that's why if you use this, no matter how big or small, you're going to be very successful with raising something towards what will help, maybe not all of the children in the world, but those children that you specifically work with and can target. So I love the SMART goal setting. We're going to talk a little bit about storytelling, and that's something I'm super passionate about because sometimes we forget that the importance of showcasing our work, right? If you're the executive director, I'm sure you wear many hats. Sometimes you are on the hustle of trying to collect funds or making sure the team's working properly, that you forget to share what your organization has been able to accomplish. And Giving Tuesday is actually a great outlet to showcase not just the people you serve, but your volunteers, your interns, your staff, and have them share a story about why this organization is important to you. I have a couple of tips. So make sure you have a beginning, middle, and an end. So don't just say, I love this organization. I've been here for 10 years and I love what we do, right? Talk about that specific, if it's a volunteer that you've asked to share a story, how they found the organization, what impacted them to stay, and what is their goal that they foresee for the future as they continue to volunteer your organization. And you can do that with any post. If you are highlighting, let's say, a scholar or someone that you give a scholarship to, ask about how they heard of your organization. How has that scholarship, where did it take them? Did it take them to a public university, a community college? What are they doing there? And once they graduate, what do they hope to do with it? So you've done the beginning, middle, and end, and you've showed a story. Be very specific. You're going to learn some of the examples that we have, which I think are awesome. You're going to see what I mean by be specific. You're not just going to jump around the place. You're going to select those stories ahead of time and make sure they follow a common theme. And then know your audience, right? So who are your current donors? Who are your current social media followers? Check what generation they're from. Actually, Facebook has a lot of statistics. And if you've never clicked on the analytics portion of your Facebook, which is free, I strongly suggest you do, because you can actually find out a lot about the people who follow you. There's actually a lot of different donor behaviors that are generational. So for example, roughly 84% of millennials reported giving to charity. Of these donors, 40% were in a monthly giving program. So we're going to talk a little bit about sustainability, the what after you've collected all of this money, followers from Giving Tuesday. But imagine being able to turn them into some type of recurring donor program. Generation X, approximately 49% of Generation X were also enrolled in a giving program. 49% of baby boomers were enrolled in a monthly giving program. And you'll also learn that even though we're strictly focusing on social media, there's a lot of ways that you can use your storytelling to reach those different types of audiences. So learn to know who your audience is as you're preparing these stories. And we're going to talk about what to do directly after you finish this webinar today. And one of them is that, right? So you're going to get to know your audience. You're going to start preparing your stories, because you don't ask for the stories the day before Giving Tuesday. You're going to plan this out and you're going to schedule them throughout the day. And you're gonna have a plan in mind so that your theme follows through. And then finally, appeal to emotions. So I think in the past, or there's always been some type of marketing where it's appealing to sad or that kind of emotion that makes you want to cry or turn the commercial off, or it makes you donate because you feel so bad. But find out what emotion you want really your followers to get when they hear that story. It probably should be a little bit of empathizing, right? But it doesn't necessarily have to mean sad. It could be a sense of, wow, that's awesome. I'm so proud of them. You can really, once you decide what kind of emotion, you can really make an impact in those posts. So have that clear along with your theme, what kind of emotion you want to portray, and ask someone in your family who maybe is not that related who's not that involved in the organization. Hey, if you saw this story, what are you feeling? And then if it's what your team are trying to convey, then go ahead and schedule it. And one of the biggest mistakes is when you don't make a call to action. Absolutely everything you do when running a nonprofit is make your call to action. In business, we call that closing the sale. Okay. In the nonprofit world, we call closing the sale with your call to action. But for us, it means a lot of different things. Sometimes it's not all monetary, but having a volunteer sign up. Maybe it is, hey, just follow our page. We want more people to reach the things that we have to say. So with your team, as you're deciding all these goals, you're also going to decide what you want to get out of it. And not all of it has to be monetary. Let's say your goal is small. You can say, we want to raise just $1,000, but we want our post to reach 500 people and we want 300 new followers to our page, because that means that they're going to be able to see the events that are coming up. They're going to be able to follow your mission. So have your call to action clear. And that's something that should be put on every post. To learn more about us or to donate, click here. As long as you have that after you've told your story or even put it in the comments, and don't forget the hashtag Giving Tuesday, it's going to be a successful campaign. And then one of my favorite pages, and we'll talk about a very specific example of the Giving Tuesday campaigns, but if you want to learn storytelling from anybody, I highly suggest you go to Humans of New York on Instagram. I absolutely love Brandon, and I'm sure you guys have heard of him, or if you haven't, he has a great way of telling people's stories, and all of his stories have a beginning, middle, and an end, even if it's just one post or a short paragraph. Or I think he's also been successful because he does a series on one person. So maybe that's the way you're going to be storytelling. You're going to focus on one person and show their beginning, middle to end, or several posts of different people that have been impacted by the organization. But Humans of New York, if you look at their pictures too, it doesn't have to be fancy graphics, right? If you don't have the graphic designer on the team, you can definitely just a picture of that person and make them feel more that they're not just a number. They really are just a person going through something. And this is how your organization and your staff jumped in to help or were able to be a support for them. So Humans of New York is a great page on Instagram to learn a little bit more about storytelling.
Yeah, I actually have the Humans of New York coffee table book, which I absolutely love. So when you're looking at the photos, really look and see how he takes the photos with the eyes up front. And if they don't want to be recognized, even pictures of people's shoes can be compelling. So definitely check them out. But what else do you need? You need a dedicated giving platform. You need a way for people to give you gifts, especially since it is online. We are being hosted graciously by QGive today, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention them, but I've actually used QGive in the trenches of fundraising. So if you don't have a Giving Tuesday platform or a donation platform, definitely check out QGive. It's a great platform that's really customizable, and they have a thermometer that you can use, which really helps track your success with your supporters, so you can visually show your progress and where you are within your goal, so people can feel engaged and can be excited along with you. And so when setting up your platform, whatever it is, we do recommend using a technique that's called price anchoring. So this is actually set donation amounts that people can choose to give. So instead of having that open-ended donor box that just says enter gift here, they can select a specific gift amount, because people really tend to make specific decisions based on the first piece of information received. So think really, really carefully about what amount you want to put out there. Your top donation amount should come first. It should not be 25, 50, 100. It should be 100, 50, 25. Because like I said, they make that decision based on the first piece of information they see. And then if you do have an option within your giving platform, you can ask your donors to cover credit card fees. And we highly recommend doing that. A good chunk of donors will do this if given the option, because they want to help maximize their gift. They're making a gift to help you. And if you give them that option up front, most donors are going to take that option. So that helps you stretch your donations further, and it helps keep your expenses lower.
Yeah, and that's great. I love when Caitlin talks about donors and the trick she has up her sleeve. Another giving platform, and the only reason we sort of put this here is Facebook plays a really crucial role in Giving Tuesday and with all its hype. It has not been announced up to now, but every year the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation has actually matched the first, $1 million of the campaign, and that amount is different every year. They have not announced it for this Giving Tuesday as of the time that we made this presentation, but we'll be on the lookout, and I'm sure QGIV will announce it, or we will. But you don't want to have it in 1,000 places. Definitely QGIV, because that should be on your website, right? QGIV is your donation platform to your website, to everything. But also Facebook can be the backup. We don't recommend you having all of these giving platforms. Like sometimes there are other organizations that will have you sign up to do it through them. But if you pick these two and you keep that thermometer, very public view and transparent with your donors, you're going to be pretty successful. And they usually do match that amount. We'll announce it as soon as we know. And then so we're going to talk about now like a soft launch of Giving Tuesday, or that campaign. And the first thing that you're going to do once you take all this information we give you is really find someone who's your right hand. If you're the leader, or maybe you are the development coordinator, find someone who you can designate as a team leader for this campaign, because it's a project in its own. It's not like this little thing that you do. It's a project. It's something that you do that has steps of coordinating with your graphic design, with your web team, with volunteers, with family members. You want to make sure they're sharing your cause. So find that dedicated point of contact who's going to be responsible for the hashtag Giving Tuesday campaign. They're going to lead the charge, and they're going to ensure that the timeline is being implemented and that you're going to be in track to meet your goal. Plus, that one person is going to get everybody together to decide those SMART goals, right?
Yes, the SMART goals.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when you're planning Giving Tuesday, really think about doing a soft launch. So this is getting people involved before that Tuesday. You're going to want to ramp up your efforts in the community, get your main and most dedicated supporters involved early so that they can bring other people into the fold for that day. So these early supporters, they're going to be the drivers for the campaign out in the community outside of your staff and team. So not everything rests on your internal shoulders. I know as fundraisers, we feel like that a lot of times, but you want to get other people involved. Fundraising is a team sport. So think of this soft launch as a way to check to make sure everything on your giving platform works. Your stories are hitting the mark. You have your donate button out there. This is going to be really helpful in laying that groundwork and showing commitments on the actual day of. You do want to start raising funds or getting those volunteers so you can show that you're not starting from zero on that day. And it's also a way to get valuable feedback on your campaign and your accompanying materials. What is really resonating with your donors is your engagement on social media where you want it to be, and you can kind of use that information to tweak and adjust as you need to. And then your board, they need to be involved too. They're your VIP volunteers, and they should be taking an active part in the campaign.
For sure.
And then partnerships. This is so important for Giving Tuesday. Like I said, fundraising is a team sport, and so is Giving Tuesday. It's not meant to be a solo event or competitive with other organizations in the area. It's not like grant funding. You're not all going for the same pot of money with limited funds. You're reaching out to your community. So this is an event built around that community. So your partners can be other nonprofits. It can be for-profits or specific donors. For your nonprofit partners, these can be partners with organizations doing work that's similar to you, that fits together well, that can help expand your base of support and amplify your message, where you're not direct competition. So it's like a food bank and a soup kitchen working together. They probably partner already in their program. So why not partner together on fundraising? They work in the same field of philanthropy, but they don't operate the same programs. But when you do enter into these partnerships, you do want to make sure that you understand how the funds raised will be distributed and used. So you do want to make sure you have that MOU put in place, the memorandum of understanding. You've worked out, you have that communication, you know exactly what the split is going to be. The community understands as well. Transparency is so important. So make sure you have that conversation first. And then your for-profit partners, these can really help boost your message to their clients, bringing in corporate volunteers. We love corporate volunteer groups, and hopefully their volunteer support or messaging support also comes with a kickoff gift or pledge that you can put in that thermometer and show that you have that progress to goal. And they also could potentially bring in a matching gift. Matching donations can be extremely lucrative, and they've been shown to actually increase giving amount and giving frequency in giving campaigns. So really think about who you might ask for a matching gift. They do typically come from corporate or for-profit organizations, or even your major donors who really love you. But they can also sometimes come from long-term grant partners. So really think outside the box and understand who your network is, and who you might be able to ask for a gift like that to give your campaign a boost. And then Giving Tuesday does not end on Giving Tuesday. Stewardship is incredibly important. You want to make sure you are saying thank you to your donors, not once, not twice, but multiple times in multiple ways. So the first thing you should do is really think about that acknowledgement letter. After you set the goal, think about how you're going to be thanking people after. Have that custom acknowledgement letter ready to go to send out to participating donors the day after the event. You really want to let your donors know how they made an impact. Now more than ever, donors are wanting to see how their gift has made a difference and how it will be used. This is especially true for the millennial and Gen Z donors. And they're the ones who are mainly giving over social media. So you want to be courting them. You want to be making sure you're showing that impact. And millennials, especially, and Gen Z, they're starting to come into wealth now. So eventually they could become those really major donors. So make sure you're saying thank you. You could even do like a thank you video, get your team involved, board members, get your clients involved, the people who are actually benefiting from your programs. That's super impactful to actually hear from the person that's benefiting. You can also add a section into your annual report. So this is also known as an impact report, but it typically comes out at the end of the year or the very beginning of the next year to show the impact that was had the year previous. So Giving Tuesday, like I said, doesn't just end on Giving Tuesday. It is a constant stewardship campaign.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to jump in because we're not building the acknowledgement letter after the day of Giving Tuesday. This is a part of that plan. You want to have that thank you video. Don't say an amount, say thank you, say what you're going to do with that money. And then you can always edit your post to reflect the amount that you actually raised, but having those thank you videos ready, and not just, the longer you wait, the hype kind of fades out. So you want to make sure you have that video thank you ready, and so that they know that you're on it and that you're there and present with that campaign that you launched. And then something that I love, if you did Giving Tuesday last year, talk about how that money impacted, present it this year with your storytelling. And obviously an impact report is super important, no matter how big or small. We highly recommend that your organization does that every year.
Yeah, and stewardship also doesn't have to happen after, it can happen during the event. So if you're seeing those gifts come in and you know a donor is okay being recognized publicly, you can also say, hey, we just got a gift from XYZ donor. We just want to say thank you. This person is making this impact. People love to feel acknowledged, especially in the moment. Yep. And they'll feel like you are personally reaching out to them. And so that's a good way to really steward the donor in the moment and not just after the event day.
Mm-hmm. Yep. So we told you we had some really great examples for you that are creative and that kind of highlight the points of what we've talked about: partnerships, for-profit and nonprofit. So the Enoch Pratt Free Library in Baltimore, Maryland has run a very unique Giving Tuesday campaign ever since 2015. And I think they only had to stop 2020 because of the pandemic. But when I came across this, I was like, this is wonderful. This literally hits all of the points of being competitive with a nonprofit partner, but all for a good cause, right? And not competitive, like stealing funds, like
way.
yeah, this is like, we're gonna raise more money than you, and they're going, no, this library is gonna raise more money than you. And then partnering with the Ravens, the NFL football team, and and all for full circle. The hashtag book bowl was created to raise funding that would go toward maintaining and improving the library. It's unique because it combines locals' love of the Baltimore Ravens football team with competitiveness of that comes from traditional fundraising, right? They'll hold this fundraising competition where they will select like another library to compete with them, and they each have their fund set up, and they'll go back and forth. This is how much we're at, this is how much we're at. And then people who love their city will, they might not love reading but they love their city, so it's kind of appealing to all of those different emotions, right? And they have a video ready, so they'll have a video kicking off the campaign, not just to say thank you. So they're going to explain the campaign. They get people, with their Baltimore pride and their football pride going. So they're appealing to all these different emotions. Someone they don't like the library, maybe they don't like reading, but all of a sudden they're going to be donating to this cause because of another love for football. And the last one that they had, they raised $39,340. Okay, that's a lot of money in just 165 donations. So this is really just super cool way to see how all of those partnerships come together. So when we talk about something like she said, the food bank and the soup kitchen, have a really competitive team, who can make more soups, or who can make more, collect more cans, or another food bank with another food bank, and see who can collect during that day the most donations, and what the winning town is going to win. And it really, they both win, right? Because they're going to get cans and food for the bank, and appeal to all those different emotions. That is super important in fundraising, because you have to feel people connected to the mission, right? Or the work that you're doing.
And so another case study we want to talk about is the Unselfies campaign from the Michael J. Fox Foundation. So we all know Michael J. Fox. He's pretty famous. He was the star of the Back to the Future franchise. He's also been very open with his struggles with Parkinson's disease. So he created the Fox Foundation with the mission of eliminating Parkinson's. So every year they use the custom hashtag unselfie. So like unselfish selfie, which I love. So this is where people post photos of themselves on social media using that hashtag and how they're contributing to the Fox Foundation. And so in the first year that they did this campaign, they were only tagged in about 107 photos, but they also used the hashtag Fox It Forward and Giving Tuesday. So while 107 posts don't seem like a lot, it's not so much about the number of photos posted as about the conversations it starts in the greater community. So it had a really high engagement in word of mouth spread. So it created that talk about the foundation and about Parkinson's disease. And it actually helped raise just under $400,000 that first year. And that's not even including a separate matching gift that was contributed. So that's a really successful campaign. And yes, they're a larger foundation. They do have a famous name behind them, but really this speaks to how social media is a driver for Giving Tuesday and about how it's about expanding your reach in the community. So they use this campaign every year. They're successful with it. And it really shows that power of social media. And you can actually jump on this unselfie bandwagon. It's not just for the Michael J. Fox Foundation. Yep. You want to use hashtags that are already being used so you can jump in that conversation. Other people can find your organization with that hashtag. And then you can get creative with your own hashtags. Come up with something that's mission related. Or if you have a tagline for your nonprofit, nonprofit, use that as a hashtag. So really start thinking about what that social media campaign looks like and how you can join in that conversation on that day.
And if you do the hard work now, right? If you come out here and you meet with your team and you follow the steps that we're about to give you, we're at that timeline, the finish line. If you use that, you can reuse this every year.
Yep.
Like, it's not just like you have to do this over again, right? If you're able to do the hard work now and find the emotions, find the stories you want to tell, you'll tell different stories every year, but all surrounded the same theme and the same hashtag and the same idea of what you want to portray. So it's really important that you do this. It's not just something you post on Giving Tuesday hashtag and expect the donations to roll in, but if you put in the work, they will come. Okay. So now we're in the home stretch. We're going to talk about I always, you hear people talk, but I always like to give you something to do. So this is sort of your homework. So, okay, Andrea, thanks for all that information that I may or may have already know. So what are you going to do after we finish this webinar? You're going to gather that point. You're going to get that team leader, right? And you're going to tell them, this is your baby. This is what I want you to do. You're going to lead the team. I'm going to help you, but I want you to take ownership of this. Okay. And with them, we're going to meet with people who we feel are also key part of the team. We're going to set those goals. You're going to build out all your social media materials. You're going to check out if maybe your logo is usually, it's usually yellow and blue, but your theme, you're going to make this logo pink to go with whatever it is that you're raising. And it's going to be specific to this Giving Tuesday. You can brand it using the things that you already have. And you're going to make sure it stands out from your everyday today fundraising. You're going to collect those stories. And what I love about doing a soft launch is that any stories that didn't quite make the cut, you can probably use them leading up to it, right? If you've picked, wow, this story really appeals to the emotions. This one doesn't as much, but it's still good. You can do that soft launch and see what kind of people are responding and engaging with your post. So collect as many stories as you can.
Absolutely.
And like I said, it doesn't, sometimes we tend to like, okay, it has to be from the people we serve. And it has to be, you can get your volunteers, maybe those unpaid volunteers that they don't get paid, but like they're always there present. Like tell them, why are you still here? Why are you so present in our mission? And ask for, and you might discover something from them that you didn't know before, that they're motivated by a loss in their family or something. And you're gonna be able to appeal to that emotion of empathizing. You can get quotes from famous people. You can see how that quote defines what, a lot of us have taglines that go along with our organizations. Go deep into that. If you're in a big organization, go back to its founding. Why was that tagline created? What does it represent? What does it mean back then to now, and how you want to use it in the future? Always use that hashtag Giving Tuesday. The reason why that's important in just the way social media works is that if somebody does look at if someone doesn't know anything about Giving Tuesday and doesn't have an organization that they already want to give to, they can click that hashtag and all of these organizations and brand new things are going to pop out in their screen. It could be your organization and your story and your picture that attracts them. So using that hashtag gets you circulating in that social media formula that Instagram and Facebook have invented. Set up your online giving platform. So reach out to your QGIF representative and make sure that it'll look different that day, work with them so it's branded for that specific campaign. Make sure they have a thermometer. It sounds so silly, but let's say you're like $50 away from your goal. Like I've had team members all of a sudden be like, oh my God, we actually did it. We got close to $2,000. We're only 50 away. I'm going to donate. I'm going to ask my mom to donate. All of a sudden now you surpass the goal because that final push, you want to close the thermometer, right? It's something so visual. Find a matching gift sponsor. You won't know unless you try. So even if you're small, even if you don't think you have any connections, once you have your campaign ready and you've put the work in, you can email local representatives, whether, it's news anchors or most professional football players, sports have some type of contact information. Who knows, maybe their agent will read it and will be like, yes, they'll look into your organization and maybe support it. Like it doesn't hurt to try, right? The worst thing that you can say is no, and you'll keep trying. And you know what? They say no, and then your campaign takes off on social media, and all of a sudden next year they'll want to be a part of it, right? And that matching gift can be dollar to dollar, can be, if you do raise a certain amount, we'll donate that in supplies. It can come in very different forms. Confirm partnerships in the community, make that competition. Maybe those players that people love. I don't watch the NFL, guys, but but I am a huge college football fan. I'm sure people knows the quarterback too there. Write your letters ahead of time, right? Don't wait till the last minute to have that letter ready. Because even if for whatever reason you don't hit your mark, you can acknowledge all the other things that you did do. Like maybe you were like a little bit sure of the goal, but it got around a lot. All of a sudden your engagements have been more than they ever have before, and your followers doubled, that follow you on Facebook now or Instagram. And then brainstorm other stewardship ideas that you can follow through in how you're going to say thank you with these stories.
Yeah, and so all of that should be happening right now, which I know seems like a lot, but we are halfway through September. So then when you get into October, this is where you want to have that soft launch. You want to set your date. You want to give people enough time and notice to put it on their calendars. Take into consideration also how your community is feeling about COVID. So that is something that we're still dealing with. So if you feel like you can safely have an in-person event, do that, whether it's outside or not, but you really do have to gauge your donors' comfort level, your staff's comfort level. But even if you can't have it in person, you can also have it over Zoom. I mean, we're all pretty comfortable with Zoom at this point, but have some sort of community togetherness. So that should happen in October. And then we haven't talked about putting together a press release, but if you have media connections in those relationships, consider putting out that press release. Your local media, they're important resources to you. And if your story is picked up, it could broaden your reach pretty significantly. If you have not started building those relationships with local news anchors or journalists, this is the time to start. And this will actually pay off, not just in Giving Tuesday, but throughout the course of your time with your organization. You want to build those relationships. And this is also a great way to reach those donors who are not on social media. So consider your potential, the boomer generation or the silent generation. And if they see you in the news or the newspaper, they might still write you a check. So you just never know where that person is going to hear about you. You want to get it out in as many channels as possible. But in October, this is where you do want to start ramping up on the social media posts. So just to start kind of putting some posts out there, some feelers, start getting your stories out there and see which really start connecting with your audience. Check your engagement, what's getting likes, loves, what people are commenting on, what they want more information on. This is how you're going to know what's going to be really impactful. So take a look at that, and then you might find you're going to change your game plan based on what is engaging and what's not. So that's what you should be doing in October, the month before Giving Tuesday.
Yeah, and something that you touched that I love, when we were trying to figure out what examples we wanted to use, we also found one where the executive director was willing to get pie if they reached a goal. And like if you have someone on the team like that, or can get someone famous to make that, like that also can be a huge hype. So in that event, that's where you can announce what your meeting those goals will be, right? Every time you hit a $500 goal, someone else gets pie or something, and then you post it in your stories. And it could be fun. It could be a really, really cool event to build also team culture and around your community, right? It's all about that word community. In November, you're gonna go big on social media. Your posts are ready to go, so you should be more than ready for that social media hit. And give constant updates, right? So on your stories, announce, wow, we just hit 500. Guys, we're only this much away from our goal. This is gonna help fund the 10 scholarships, that et cetera, et cetera. So be very specific throughout the day. And then have those videos already ready, or do a live stream of someone getting pied. pay money to see that. But there's a lot of really fun things you can do with your team as well, especially getting them engaged. And then, that's November. It's a pretty awesome campaign, and I'm so excited to hear a lot of your questions. And I know that was a lot of information, but that was our presentation. And like I said, we are BrightBridge, and we are your nonprofit one-stop shop to help with all of your compliance, development, design, grant writing, taxes, everything, all of the needs that you might need from someone. If you're administrative, if you need the help, we're here for you. And we're just so excited to be here with all of you, and hope you have a lot of questions.
Well, thank you, ladies. I know that was a lot of information, and I don't see any questions in there yet. I know we had a few questions that were sent to us early, but while maybe you're thinking of some questions, I asked Brendan, one of my QGive peeps, to jump on and kind of talk to you about following up on matching gifts and what you can do through the QGive platform. So Brendan, if you wouldn't mind.
Yeah, of course. I know you guys did a great job of covering, looking for the sponsors to match on a Giving Tuesday or really throughout the year. But in addition to that, we also, as QGive, we offer great integrations with a few great partners, Cyber Grants, Double the Donation, and HEP Data, so that your donors whose employers have matching gift programs can contribute as well to your fundraising total. So the way that the integrations work is that it's just an option on the form as the donor is going through filling it out, and it kind of expedites the process for completing that matching gift. So that's certainly an option that we can follow up with if you're interested in applying that to your Giving Tuesday campaigns or really your year-round fundraising as well, which a lot of our clients have a ton of success with.
Thank you, Brendan. It looks like a couple folks have put their questions in chat, which is fine. So if you're still typing, and you can put it in Q&A. But Stacy is asking, would you just have the Giving Tuesday campaign run throughout the month of November, or really focus on the one day?
I think Caitlin will take most of this, but I would personally still focus on the one day. Like she said, the soft launch can be a part of that month of November where you get people hyped up, but you should save kind of your best for last.
Yeah, so on Giving Tuesday, you have at least 8 hours during the workday where you're going to need to be posting a lot of content and really focusing on getting everything out on social media. You can schedule some things in advance, but you'll want to be engaging with your donors on that day. And because it is a set event day, really try and focus mostly on November 30th. But really that soft launch is to help that push up leading up to it. And you can sprinkle some good like teaser things throughout the month of November, but I would definitely suggest focusing on that one day.
Yeah. And just to add that, because that captured, there's a lot that, that's why you hire a marketing team, people who understand the whole hashtag role and everything, but you will be trending, that's the thing. That day, that hashtag is trending and will pop up in, how you think about buying something and all of a sudden Facebook knows and you see the ad there, like Big Brother is watching. So Big Brother on Giving Tuesday is going to be hashtag Giving Tuesday. Yes. And you want to jump on that trend wagon. And that's why you want to make sure you're popping in people's ads.
Well, you're making me laugh with Big Brother and Andrea. Wendy has actually a good follow-up question that if you guys won't mind while we're still on that. How many posts do you recommend posting on Giving Tuesday?
That's really up to you, your capacity. I don't want you to do anything that you wouldn't be able to hit all of the stuff, right? Like if you work full time, you should take that day off and you're running this nonprofit on the side, but if you, this organization's everything, but whatever your team can handle, because someone should be responsible for saying thank you on those posts and being engaging in those posts. It could be one every hour if your team can handle it and someone covers certain hours and they're following the posts and the donations. But if maybe you just don't have the team for it, then you can just pick pick three or four really big ones where there's a middle, beginning, and end.
Yeah, and I think if you're worried about donor fatigue, like your donors seeing too much of you on social media all at once, they'll forgive you for one day where it's a global giving event. So I wouldn't worry too much about that being an issue.
And I point out that you can always build this content and schedule it ahead of
Yes.
time to take some of the pressure off of you day of.
Yeah.
Leah has asked, if we have a very small team, in this example, 2 volunteers, that's it. We're in a new nonprofit. What key elements should we focus on if we can't complete most of these recommendations?
I love this question because that was me 10 years ago. So, there's nothing wrong with being a small team. Like I said, your goals might be a little different. This is your call to action might be learn more so you can join our board, learn more so you can volunteer. You know, in terms of donations though, this is where I kind of guilt trip my family and be like, I'm so passionate about this. All of you donate and share and build that. When you're such a small team, I'm also the first person to donate. So people see that I believe in what I'm putting, and I kind of break the seal. It sounds silly and maybe superstitious, but I always, if I had like galas or if I had a walkathon or something, I was always the first person to buy the first ticket. And as the executive director, I probably didn't need to buy a ticket, but I believed in what I was doing. And I believed this was going to be a fun event. So I was going to invest it. So you too, save $5 and be the first to donate, share it with your family, tag them. Be like, hey, cousin, remember when I helped you with this? Share and donate to my cause, and it'll spread, right? Because it's all about making that connection. If you are a 2-person team, why is this so important for those 2 people? Share your beginning, middle, and end, and where you hope to be in the future. So you know, especially if you work full time because you're a 2-person team. You probably won't be able to post every hour. So find 3 or 4 really powerful posts that kind of tell about where you're heading and why it would be important, and be honest, right? So if this is going to startup costs, just be honest. This is going to a lot of our legal, getting us situated, you know, this is going to go to the foundation. Just be honest, be transparent. And that's how you're going to build donor trust. Okay. If you don't have the 5 scholars yet, because you're still in that startup mode, which is really the bulk of our clients here at BrightBridge. That's really what we get, because we help you with that incorporation and startup. So what are your goals, right? You're starting off, your goal is probably to get legal, you know, in your state and your IRS, and to get a good website. Just be honest about where the funds are going. You know, I want to support this. If we raise $500, right, probably a small goal, we're going to be able to get the website up and running so you can see the people that we're helping here on the ground, right? You're kind of that grassroots where you're collecting cans at your home where people are delivering it, or so that's what I would say. Mm-hmm.
And I agree. I think that's fabulous advice. So I think we're coming right up on our hour. And so I wanted to thank you both, Andrea and Caitlin, for sharing all this great information. Thank everyone for joining us today. As a reminder, we will be emailing out the link to today's presentation, the deck, but we're also going to be including quite a few links to great resources here on the QGive site. We've got some great things to supplement some Giving Tuesday information, templates, social media guidelines, storytelling advice. I know there's a lot of different things on the BrightBridge website as well. The ladies here wrote a great blog that we'll include a link to, so please be on the lookout for that tomorrow. So if you do want to reach either of the QGive or BrightBridge teams, we do have the contact information here on this last slide. As you log off today, please don't forget to take that survey. We really do hope that everything we covered today helps you get better prepared for Giving Tuesday. Thank you again for the opportunity, and we will be in touch. You have a great day.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you,
Thanks, everyone.
everyone.